All right, so first things first, USC and Kennedy Smith did a real good job defensively against Hannah Hidalgo. 8 for 18 from the field overall, but you can't let her get 5 layups in transition. That was 5 of her 8 buckets right there. So she went 5 for 5 on those, 3 for 13 on everything else. You can't really allow that to happen. Obviously, she's going to get steals. That's what she does. But some of these weren't even off steals. It was just off of rebounds and leak outs. You can't allow Hannah Hidalgo to get the easy ones. She is far too good of a player to give 10 points off of layups, 5 points on the free throw line. That's 15 over 22 right there. Now, on the flip side, everything for USC felt earned. Worked really hard for it. Not a lot of buckets for Kennedy Smith in the transition, all season long, actually, but in this game as well. No free throws at all for Jazzy Davidson in this game or in the South Carolina game. So they need to find a way to come up with some more easy buckets. There's times when I see Kennedy Smith get out ahead and get an early seal on a smaller guard, and they just don't pass it ahead. I'm not sure if they just don't trust the pass, but you rather get that turnover being aggressive than to pass it out around on the perimeter and let Hannah Hidalgo or DeJesus get a pick six for a layup. And this play right here is an example where they just miss her early. Malia Samuels doesn't see her open on the baseline. Now we have 2 defenders running back to her. Vivian cuts to the baseline and just crowds everything up by the time Kara gets the ball, and it's just too late. It's a turnover. So missing her on plays like that really hurts. I feel like once chemistry improves, they will find her on those, as well as those early post-ups on smaller guards. And just working on spacing to give her some room to operate against those smaller guards is going to be key. But I have faith they'll get that turned around soon for her. Something that I have noticed since game one, though, is whenever Diana touches the ball, good things happen, or at least more often than not. She has poise, patience, her pivots, her pump fakes, her processing speed, a lot of P words, all right? And I noticed this actually before the season even started when I was just looking at some of her game tape from last season. She's really good. She's really good. I hope they give her more minutes and touches. As excited as we are about all of the players joining next season and Juju coming back, she's another one of those 6'2" wings that's just interchangeable and who's going to be a big part of their success next season. And as far as this season goes, we're not seeing much from the front line, so hopefully some of those minutes can shift towards her. Speaking of shift, I did speak on a few different platforms about how I wanted to see some of the offense shift towards Kara, some more of the offensive responsibility and touches. Just because I feel like with Kennedy Smith guarding the best player every single night, in this case Hannah Hidalgo, and then also taking either the first or second most field goal attempts every single night is a lot to ask for her. Or of her, I should say. But in the meanwhile, you have Kara, who is a senior, who did average 15 points last season. She's shooting 44% from the three-point line after this game. Give her the ball. Let her rock out. Let her see if she can improve her draft stock as well. But yeah, let Kennedy grow into that role. Obviously, you want to see her develop into being a bigger piece of the offense, even though maybe next year she won't need to. But still, let Kara rock out while she's here. She's shown that she can do it inside, outside, and she improves everybody else's efficiency by picking up a bigger role. Especially after the night that she had last night. Then she hits this bucket with 1:40 left. You got to give her the ball. Go to her again. Now make sure you stick with me to the end because the details matter, and I'm going to show you one important detail that was missed on this one. This was something that a lot of people might have missed as well because they were busy talking about do they prefer jerseys tucked or untucked. Let me know in the comments what you think on that. But one of their free throws wasn't counted. You can see Kara, she went to the free throw line with, they had 43 points. Kennedy Smith had just scored 43 points. But because they made an error on a substitution, and you can see Kennedy telling Gerda not to come in, but she came in. So this free throw didn't count. Only the second one counted. And in the game that came down to a last shot by Hannah Hidalgo, yeah, every point matters. So they got to tighten that up. And I'm going to put that one on coaching. I mean, and you can see Kennedy Smith, she saw it right away. She was obviously frustrated trying to tell her to go back. I'm not sure how the coaches didn't catch it. They're sitting right there. Somebody has to say something. You've got to make sure that you control the controllables because there's so much that you can't control, like these calls that the refs missed. This obviously bad call, where they called a foul on Kennedy Smith here. It obviously should have been an offensive foul. And not only did it give Kennedy Smith the foul, but it also extended their possession, which they ended up hitting a three-pointer after that. So, and they were shocked. If you remember this play, the commentators were actually shocked that this was called a foul on Kennedy Smith, as was I in real time. It just made no sense. I'm not sure what the refs were looking at, but yeah, you see Lindsey Gottlieb there in disbelief. Probably should have got a tech early on at this point, because it happened again later on in the game. And maybe a tech right here would have prevented that from happening. I mean, this was just, I mean, what are you looking at, refs? A foul on Kennedy Smith. That's wild. Anyway, so this call and then the one that happened later, these also impacted the game. Refs always make bad calls. They missed a carry on Kennedy Smith as well, but that's why I say you have to control the controllables. And right here is the other one that was missed just later out. They even brought the officiating expert on to say that it should have been a call, but regardless, they did end up getting the ball, so it didn't necessarily cost them on this one. But still, man, come on. They're hurting Kennedy out there, and I think it actually affected her performance, and I'll show you why in just a second. All right, so here's Kennedy back in the third quarter, holding defense against Hannah. Good poke away to make her catch the ball out farther than she wanted to. She misses that one. Remember, 3 of 13 on shots that weren't fast break layups. Now, we're going to come down here. Kennedy's going to get the offensive rebound after a block and make what's going to be her last field goal with about 6 minutes and some change left in the third quarter. She was 3 for 6 at this point, her most efficient game so far this season. A few minutes later, she gets a strip. She's playing well. 3 for 6, like I say. Here comes Hannah flying like a bat out of... Look, I don't know if she goes for the ball or not on this one. Great show of sportsmanship, just walks away, you know. They peel Kennedy off the floor. So that's the third time that she hit the floor. That screen that I just showed previously in the fourth quarter, that was her third big hit that game. And she didn't score another bucket after this foul from Hannah. She went 0 for 5 from the field after this point. So I'm not sure if, you know, some of the beating that she took an effect on her. But you can see her obviously just doubled over after all of these hits. She's not out there faking it, man. They put a beating on her and nothing was really called besides this foul. And they really could have called that flagrant. Well, maybe. It didn't look like a basketball play to me, like a play on the ball. Anyway, this double dribble here by London. This is where her night should have ended. If you follow me on Threads, at Mike DeWitt, I tweeted that in real time. It wasn't just this play. When she came in with 5 minutes left in the third, 10 seconds later, she had a turnover to Prosper, who went down and laid it up. She went down and got blocked, you know, on 2 or 3 people way bigger than her. Just went down there and got blocked. Had another turnover, so really rough stretch. That was her third or fourth rough stretch of the game. At that point, anything that she did wrong is on the coaches, because you have Ryan there, you have Brooklyn, you have other options. You had Diana, but you still kept going back to London. Now, I can nitpick 1,000 reasons, right? No spacing for Kennedy, no free throws for Jazzy. A lot of reasons why I feel like this game went south, but this stretch, particularly in the game when they had an 11-point lead with 2 minutes left in the third, and they let it get whittled down to a 6-point lead, or to a 5-point lead, matter of fact, in less than a minute. In less than a minute, they just didn't close this quarter out well at all, and if they had ran a 6-point lead the other way, they would have been taking a 17-point lead into the fourth. The game would have been effectively over. But they let Notre Dame run off a 6-point lead, and so they go into the fourth quarter holding just a 5-point lead, and as we know, that didn't hold up. So those are the moments in the game where you really want to put the gauntlet down, and you want to make sure that you're the team that goes on that run to end the quarter to really go ahead and, you know, choke a team out, as I like to say. And I love Malia. I love Pity for sure, but I feel like 1-4 flat at the end of the quarter is for your best player. That's for Jazzy Davidson time or Kara Dunn, since she had it cooking. And either way, that 6-point swing, they had a chance to put the game away, and they didn't, and they paid for it. All right, here's another play where the details show up. They didn't know what was going on. The commentators were just having a laugh because obviously they're not knowing what offense they're in right now. And so this play, it just looked really bad at this point in the game. You know, 5 minutes left. This is the beginning of the clutch time, as they call it. And that's how they look. Not good. Offensive rebounds, one of the biggest reasons that they lost, if we're being honest. A lot of big offensive rebounds by Bransford late in the game. She actually outproduced the front line entirely, points and rebounds. Well, she had 8 rebounds. The front line had 9 altogether. And that's really been their undoing. In their 2 losses, even versus South Carolina, Ocote and Edwards, they combined for 25 rebounds. And we just can't compete with that inside. We're getting rebounds from our guards, but the bigs have to do better. Scoring too, but rebounds especially. And we saw Sarah Strong go off for 20 rebounds in the game after this, and Gino called out Sarah Williams and Blanca Quinones by name on the podium about the fact that Sarah Strong had to grab 20 rebounds, so nobody's above it. And here you see where it's killing us. Now, even though we didn't get the win, and even though things didn't go right for Jazzy at the end here, some strides were made for the freshman. We see this clutch three. We know that she had 4 blocks and 3 steals in this one. And this block here was also clutch. Big time play from the freshie. Look how much ground she covers as well. Has the IQ to know that she can leave off Bransford. She's not a shooter, but when she tries to make her cut, she meets her there at the rim. This was a beautiful play call from Coach Lindsey Gottlieb at the end of the game. Unfortunately, it did not go in. The play call was great. The execution was good, but the details matter, like I said earlier. And one important detail, Jazzy's left-handed. So when she made this Ivo cut, she ended up on the right side of the rim. Maybe if the pass is a little bit sooner, maybe if she had changed her route a little bit to end up on the left side of the rim and then sealed, who knows? I know that DeJesus is too small to block that, but either way, she didn't finish. She went up left-handed on the right side of the rim, didn't go in. Lessons learned, and on to the next one. Honestly, no big deal.